Hello everyone, how guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on a tier ranking of iconic soccer rookies based off of their eye appeal alone. I'll be going through and obviously giving you my rankings in terms of what I think, but I also pulled some people that I know in real life who really know nothing about soccer cards and just asked them what they thought as well, so we'll have some fun discussion in that regard. Should be a fun video, a little bit more laid back. Obviously, everyone's going to have their own list. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. You don't have to do the whole tier list, but best 3, best 5, worst 3, worst 5, whatever you feel like going through. Would love to hear it and just sort of see where everyone's at. Before we get into it though, I did want to say that, I did my best to grab what I think are the most iconic cards of the best players and sort of narrow it down, right? Pele has tons of different items that I could have picked and put into here, but I have to draw the line somewhere. So, spare me that. Obviously, there are going to be some that I miss. If there are some that you feel should have been in here, let me know, but understand that, I could only do so much. But yeah, trying to have fun with it. I enjoyed it, so hope you will too. I've done this in my head a couple times already, and every time it changes just a tad based off of how I'm feeling, so we'll see where this one goes. But we're going to start with some of the later players and work our way to some of the more modern players. Here we have a Gerd Muller Bergman from 1965. This one for me is really, really clean. I like the, clear white border, very nostalgic for me just in terms of most cards. That's very typical. Also love the colors, the jersey, the background. I always love this little vehicle in the background for, mid-60s Germany. Just seems like quintessential there. But I'm going to throw that in A tier. I don't necessarily think it's S, but I do like it a good bit. This one, Bobby Charlton, I'm going to do my best not to care about the player. That's the assumption we're making. This is based off eye appeal alone. Bobby Charlton, great player. I do like the blue and the red, so I'm not going to put this as low as I could go. But at the same time, I don't really like the look of Bobby Charlton in this. This is just kind of scary to me. So personally, I'm going to go B tier. Could make a case for C, honestly, but I think the blue and the red brings it back. So, we'll do that. George Best, this one is pretty low for me. Personally, I'm not a fan of green at all. The turtleneck's very weird. I don't mind the signature, that's kind of nice, but also, tobacco card, so at the same time, that's not going to help. I go D tier on that, honestly. Maybe if I was more of a green person, I could push it up to C. But, I think I have a little bit of bias away from vintage, at least in some scenarios. The Stanley Matthews, I think actually looks a little bit better than the George Best. Maybe I'm crazy, but I do like the kit. I think he's also, got a much more photogenic smile going on there. So I'm going to throw that in C tier. Next, we have a Platini here. This one, I think I'm going to go C tier as well. Again, the shirt really doesn't do it for me. I don't quite enjoy it. Also, the background. Typically, I like a nice background photo, but the trees here really don't give you much to look at, and the sky is pretty, bland. This is a decent color. Sometimes the colors are really off, but, even then, I'm gonna go C, and it's not really based off of Platini. I mean, it's not that bad, but there are just going to be some stout competition there, so for me, it's not quite there. Mark Van Basten, I do like this one a good bit. I'm gonna go B tier on it. I don't think that it's anything crazy, because I think the colors are a little washed, and it's not the best looking, but I do like it, and I think it's worthy of B tier for sure. The Grinch of Vecchi, I do like a good bit. I'm gonna throw it in B tier. I think it's pretty much in line. The colors sometimes can be a little faded like this, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's pretty good, honestly. I like his kit as well. I think it's decent looking. The Beckenbauer TTT, a little unfair to be honest, because typically most of the, I guess, better copies or photocopies of this have a, brighter green background. I think this just wasn't as well lit. Given there's a brighter green background like there typically is, I'm going to go A tier, because I think that, just the flat green in the back looks really, really good. Love whenever we can get a full border in the background. I think it always just helps a card immensely, so I'm going to go A tier for that one. The Eusebio Villeda, this is one that I have just always thought very, very highly of in terms of eye appeal. I think that, the blue nameplate along with the badge and just the red kit, a very broad look from Eusebio with a pretty, hefty stare going on with the stadium in the background and the nice border. Personally, just like it quite a lot. So this is going to be the first S tier for me. Quickly followed by what is going to be the second S tier for me. given I have Jared Muller in A tier, I think that this Beckenbauer is better. I like the pose quite a bit. I like the background scenery and the field with the little dirt path, and you got the trees and then the sky. There's just a lot to look at. The ball just tantalizingly hanging in the air above Beckenbauer's right foot. Looks beautiful. I'm going to throw that in A tier, I think, or S tier, actually. I think that's very well deserved. Then we have a Zidane, so a nice Zizou here. For me, I'm not a big yellow fan. I do think it really, really pops, which is nice. Honestly, I guess the kit's really good too. I'm going to go A tier. Typically, I was a little bit harsher in the past, but I kind of just gave in there. I think A tier makes sense. Looks pretty good. I think that the kit helps a lot too in terms of making the yellow pop. This R9, the Vote Ball, always have loved this. For me, this is S tier, without a doubt. Again, I'm a sucker for a white border, especially when you can give me a kit like this and just a young R9. Again, trying not to care too much about the player, but this is just a very nice looking photo. That goes in S tier without too much thought on my end. That's pretty easy for me, I would say. We have the Cruyff Palarex. So this is one that, honestly, isn't going to be as high. I think it's one of the better looking Cruyffs, but I don't think that Cruyff has good looking rookies. I think this fits into C tier. Looking at B tier, I'd take probably anyone in B tier over him. Maybe you could make the case for Charlton not being over him, but to me, I think that the Cruyff's going to have to go into C tier. Palarex goes there. Sicker Verlag also going to do the same thing. I like the colors on this one a bit more. I will say I think that the Ajax kit pops pretty well, and I like the nameplates. But given it's a dual panel, it's not going to be one that ranks all too highly. And then for me, the Vanderhoot is going to go at last. I think that that's pretty fitting to go into D tier. Not to pick on Cruyff, but not a great picture. Sort of an awkward, maybe somewhat angry stare at me. We also have the warm-up kits up to the chin, presumably pretty cold. Not a whole lot going on in the background, just really, really bland. It does have a white border, but, I'm not that easily wooed. So I'm going into D tier with that. I feel like, it hurts, but I think it's deserved. Moving on to Pele Alifa. This is one that I really don't think is going to rank all too highly. Gosh, if you take Pele out of it, if you take the fact it's Pele away, I think it's D tier. I honestly, I would take probably both of the other ones in D tier over me taking this one. Maybe the Vanderhoot's close. I'd take the George Best over this, but yeah, the Alifa is going in D. That wasn't something that, I wanted to get out of this video. I don't want to be an Alifa hater. I know it's like the thing. But actually, this Americana, see, like the green and the yellow, that's what I think of with Brazil. The blue nameplate, the blue background, I'm kind of a sucker for this type of stuff. So I'm going to go A tier. I think it's better than the Garrincha right there. So I think for that reason, it makes sense. So I'm going to go A with the Americana. Oh, the titulares here, the number 86 is definitely going to go in S tier for me. I think this looks amazing, whether or not it's Pele or not. Purely off of eye appeal. Now, if you do take into account some of the things that you could know about this card or sticker, that is that, this signature isn't his, it's someone else's that is actually on there. So that takes away a little bit from it. But if you don't know that and you're just looking at it, I think that is clearly an S tier. The Aquarella, I think that this fits, well, actually, I was going to say I think it fits into C tier, but this could easily be a D tier for me. Again, if I'd say this is a pretty comparable picture with the Cruyff, but the Cruyff, doesn't have the perforated edges. So I'm going to be nice to Pele. I'm going to break the rules a little bit just because it's Pele. I'm going to put it into C. I could very well make a case for D, and I don't think that it's that crazy. But, that is what it is. I'll keep it at C. The 78 Diego Maradona crack here, I think that this is a great one. I love the blue and the white jersey. I love the flag, the nameplate. Again, the white edges, you always get me with that. So, yeah, I'm going S. I think this one's pretty easy, and it's followed up by what I think is another pretty easy S tier. I don't know if it's a Maradona bias. Maybe it is, and maybe I'm not doing the best job at taking that away. As much as it hurts me, I'm going to go A tier. And if I want to move it up to S, we'll do that later. But I do need to, hold some room. So we're going to go A tier. And upon retrospect later, we can decide if we want to move that up. The Mega Cracks Ronaldo, this one for me is B. I think it's better than most of the ones in C, if not all. And I think it's about on par with the B tier. while it is, you know, the preferred Ronaldo rookie because it is a card rather than a sticker, I don't think it looks better. The kit doesn't really pop out from the background because the kit's green, white, and black, and the card's sort of white, black, gray, green. It's all sort of mashed in there, and, you know, green, black, white isn't really all that great of a color scheme in my opinion. So yeah, it doesn't really pop the way I guess you would hope, or the way that, in my opinion, the sticker does. I do rank the sticker higher personally, because I just think, you know, generally that pops a lot more. Again, comparing, I guess we could compare here to A tier. I think that this is better than everything in A tier. Maybe you can make the case for Zidane. That actually is the only thing that really grabs my eye in A tier. The Maradona is cool, but I do think the Zidane is very eye-catching. But I'm going to put the Ronaldo in S. I think that it is better than the Zizou, and, you know, I'd prefer it. Then we have the 2004 Este sticker. This one for me, I do like it. I would say I like it more than the C tier ones. I'm going to put it into B tier because of the dual panel. You know, not really the best, but I do like the action pose of Messi, and, you know, having him sort of on the side here with the headshot isn't too bad at all. So for me, that's a pretty easy B tier pick, I would say. Then we have the 71 bis, so I'm, you know, internally deciding, do I want to put this in S tier too, or do I have to move something from S tier down? Man, it's a tough one. I think I'm going to move the Eusebio down to A tier, because it doesn't pop the best for me. Out of all the ones in S tier, that was sort of the one that was sticking out in terms of what I can move. I do like the Messi 71 bis, you know, even given if it wasn't the card of the hobby, I think it just looks so good that you really, you know, you have to rate it up there at least a good bit in my mind. So I think it gets a deserved spot at the S tier. And a Lionel Messi Monday Chromo is here to round out the list. So this one, you know, again, I like a nice white border. The pose isn't as nice. You know, I don't mind an action shot, but at the same time, you know, kind of doing a weird thing with his arm. You don't really get a sense of the defender, and the kits are just a little wonky. But you know, this is early 2000s sort of design and style, so it fits the era. But it does sort of come off as more of a junk wax type of card. You know, just looks pretty bland. So I think that this is a pretty justifiable B tier card as well. And all in all, that is my list over here. I'll take a second to reflect while I also go ahead and grab the tally from some other votes that I was able to scrounge up from real life acquaintances, and we'll get back when that's all happened. So a little while later, here we are. I did put the Maradona Calciatore up into S tier, especially after reconsidering and looking at everyone else's votes. On the left-hand side, I pulled 4 different people and asked for their top 3. I did get some of the bottom results, but I don't think they're as interesting to go into. As far as what people thought were the best looking, the Maradona Calciatore won out between the 4 people I pulled. 3 out of the 4 picked it in their top 3. The Ronaldo Football was in half of them, and then the other ones had a vote each. Almost all of these are in my S and A tier. I guess the ones that are outside of it are the Ronaldo card, that is in my B tier, and the Stanley Matthews Ardath, which is in C. Still think that they're all great cards. Personally, I think that honestly all of the cards in this list are really, really good. I'd be happy to own any of them in most any grade. Just as a collector, I think that they're all special in their own way. But this was a lot of fun to put this together and just throw my thoughts out there and see what you guys think as well. So, of course, make sure to let me know down below in a comment. I'd appreciate it greatly. Love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. And yeah, had a blast with this. If you guys want to see more videos in the future along these lines, you know, feel free to give me ideas or just, you know, supportive comments down below. I'd appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.